order for me to have a baby, my doctors told me the best chances for me to conceive was to use donor eggs. Donor egg and donor conception is very new in our community, but that is why I created the space and the platform. I do have a private Facebook group for us mamas going through that. And I've slowly been meeting women over here on this side of TikTok, which has been great. But I do open this space up when I do my interviews from women who are going through medical intervention. Even though IVF has been around for a very long time, I feel like there's still a stigma that goes with women of color who are using the, IVF, in a sense, because, we're supposed to be baby factories. And you know what? We're finding out some of us just aren't. So I have Kayla here today, and she's going to be talking about her journey through IVF. Kayla, you're young.
Yeah, so I'm 30. I will be 31 next month. I started IVF in December of 2023, and it has been a little bit of a process for me. And so I was first diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis a couple years ago. It was in 2019, and that is what basically started the trajectory of everything. So it took me several years to get my diagnosis. I always had painful periods. I battled through ovarian cysts all the time. I was getting ovarian cysts, and what prompted me was the pain got worse and worse and worse, but the cysts would not go away. And so they said, we really think that you have endometriosis, and we highly recommend that you go in and get a laparoscopic surgery done, so that we can test and see if you have it. So I had my first surgery in 2019, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis because it had traveled to my ovaries. So at that point, it caused diminished ovarian reserve, and I basically kind of just waited. I wasn't married at the time. I wasn't, um, my husband was my boyfriend at the time. I was going through school at the time, and I was like, I can't get pregnant at the time. I was just like, I'm navigating life right now. And
Now, the
so
first time when you had your surgery in 2019, did they talk about you conceiving? Did they let you know it was going to be hard? Did you know those things?
they did, and they were like, "You know what? You probably should get pregnant right now." And I said, "Well, I don't know if that's the best way to handle things given I ain't got no plan in life right now."
Right, right,
So,
right,
and one of those things, so now in hindsight, I was a nurse then, and I was like, this is new to me. I can't imagine being someone who's not in nursing or not in the medical field to know how to navigate this. But it was completely crazy, crazy. Now I'm a nurse practitioner, and I know a lot more about endometriosis because I have
right,
definitely done a lot more research, to help us who do not have any answers and who suffer in silence. And so at that point, it just became like, what are you talking about? It was just new
right,
information being thrown a mile a minute at me. And at that point, I just was like, I need to navigate this the best way I know how and just figure out what is endometriosis so that I could best take care of myself in that point in time. And so it was a process. I went for through about maybe 2 to 3 years where I was like, you know what, I'm fine. I was navigating, but then the pain crept back again. And at that
right,
point, I got married in 2020, and we were still struggling to conceive, struggling, struggling. So I was like, okay, you told me to do it. Now I'm trying to do it and I can't do it. And of
right,
course, the other quick fix was, well, get on birth control to quiet everything down if you don't want to
right,
get pregnant right now. And so you just go through this vicious cycle of let's just get on birth control, let's get pregnant, let's get on birth control, let's get pregnant because as soon as you got off birth control, your periods were back on and they were here with a vengeance and they were
right,
gnarly. I was having so much pain and to be able to function, it was not possible. And so in 2023, I started having pain again, and it was just a mess. It was debilitating. At that point, I was going in and seeing patients, and I could barely go in. I was rolling in the chair to go door to door to see patients because I couldn't stand. I had super bad pelvic pain, and it just debilitated me. And I went to different doctors and OBGYNs, and I was like, listen, something is not right. This is worse than how it felt before. I know I have endometriosis. I need help. And all I got was go to pelvic PT. It's just muscles. It's just your muscles. Your pelvis is just very, 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 your muscles are just super tight and wound up. And you just need to go to pelvic PT to see if they can get released and relaxed. And I was like, been there, done that several times, several sessions. I did that so much and nothing helped. And so I thankfully stumbled upon another place and I said, listen, I want an x-ray, I want an ultrasound, I want an MRI of my pelvis, I want everything, do it all. And thankfully, there was someone who listened that did it. And that MRI of my pelvis showed that I had endometriosis tethered to my bowel. And I said, so was a lie? The pain is definitely, something
Right.
there, but what do we do at this point? And so the specialist there that she sent me over to was like, look, I'm not touching the bowel. I don't do that part. And I said, well, endometriosis goes all over. So if you
Yeah.
can't do this part, there might be another part you can't do. And I'm not going in surgery to have to go in and get another one.
Right.
And so I just did a lot of praying. I was so defeated because I went through 3 to 4 OBGYNs in North Carolina, that's my home state, and I could not find help. I was so defeated. And so I just literally got on my hands and knees and I prayed to God that He would guide me. And I stumbled upon a Facebook group that was for endometriosis. And it basically was a group solely about trying to find endometriosis excision specialists who did this day in and day out. And so at that point, I said, you know what? I'm looking through. And the good thing about it is that Facebook group has certain states and showed you which providers did this. So I looked in North Carolina. There was only one and she was out of pocket. And it was gonna be when I did my consultation with her, it was gonna be $30,000 flat fee before any hospital fees were included. And I said, I will not go into debt into something that is not going to cure me. This would be my second surgery in 5 years. So I just knew I won't do this. But what I did know is that God wasn't done with me. And that is when I decided to just keep going. Oh, hey, Jill. And so at that point, I just decided to keep going. And I stumbled upon I kept going through the Facebook and I said, well, you know what? If I can't go to my home state of North Carolina to get services, I'm going to go outside. And so I went first to South Carolina and I looked through in Virginia and I said, okay, I've got to find somebody who can cover my health insurance. And I stumbled upon a doctor, Dr. Hawa, in Virginia. He's in Leesburg, Virginia, and he accepted my health insurance. And when I got my appointment in October, he was like, look, I'm booked out till February, March, but let's do everything because I really do think you need this surgery. And he did my pelvic exam and he was immediately like, you know what? You need this now. I feel something in your bowel. I feel something in your bladder. I feel something here and there. And everything he said he felt, it was found in the surgery. And that was the first time I felt heard and actually had my concerns voiced and actually felt like somebody was advocating for me. And so he immediately put me on for his schedule. He was like, I'm going to do what I can to expedite you. And I went in to see him for the first time in October, and December 4th of 2023 is when I had my surgery. And so he pushed me faster than he normally would have to get my surgery. And I was so thankful for that. It was supposed to take 2 hours and it took 6. So It was a surgery that changed my life, though. To this day, I have pain, but I don't have as much pain as I had before. I'm walking, I'm working. I'm so grateful for everything that he did. I needed a colorectal surgeon. I lost some of my bowel in the midst of it because it was tethered greatly to my bowel, as the MRI had reported, and I lost some of my bladder as well. And so it was a process that took a team of people, but I'm so glad I did because I got it all done in one surgery. And after that is when it really pushed forward with the infertility game. And I had several cysts on my ovaries. And so, in the midst of just going through all that as well, I lost more of my ovarian reserve, and my AMH level went from 2.34 to 2.8. So, it drastically dropped. Um, and I knew that that is might be what I was up against, but at that point, I knew my quality over quantity was better, and that is what I stood firm on. And so since then, we have been doing IVF. I waited to heal for several months, and then I said, "Okay, I'm gonna do IVF." We did our first round of IVF, and it did not go as well as I anticipated, but through the midst of my journey, I knew that it may not go well because of all the things that had happened. And so when we did our first round, I got 15 eggs, which I was like, wow, very shocked with diminished ovarian reserve. I had 9 that were mature. I had 7 fertilized. And at the end of day 5, we had 3 embryos. But at the end of day 7, they said only 1 made it. And so that was at the point where I was like, you know what? What happened? And this is when we realized that there was some sperm factor as well. And so it just became, oh my gosh, I thought it was me. And now it's both of us. And it was like, what a hit. So we are still going through, going back and forth with my husband's sperm because we are not sure what happens. One week it can be stellar results, the next week it can be bad results. We have done a DNA fragmentation to see if that is causing oxidative stress. He was post-military, so that can all come with lots of things with him having tours to different countries and toxic exposures, etc. So we really don't know. But we know 2 weeks before he had a stellar mix of sperm, and then the day of my egg retrieval, it was a terrible batch. And so it's something that we have no idea what causes it. But at that point, I leaned on to the Lord further, and I have been starting. This is what started this TikTok page and the encouragement because I wanted people to see we get a lot of great results of IVF, but we don't see a lot of the bad results and the waiting and the hope that comes with that, and just the disparity and the grief and all that. And so I started this platform to just show the reality of IVF and the reality of infertility. And still in through this process, I still have not gotten to my transfer. And so it has been a overwhelming thing, but I want to show people that there are 1,000 ways to go through this journey, and mine being one of them. But if this is going to be a hard journey, I want to show you so it can encourage you at the end of the day. And so that's what I'm here for. We have no idea when we're doing our transfer. Our insurance has been a bit crazy. Um, but at this point, I am still believing that God, every his timing is divine, and I have to trust that and know that. And so I am just very grateful to even have been able to go through this process and be able to tell my story. And it has just been a blessing in itself.
Now, I'm curious to know, and we'll backtrack just a little bit for those who don't know really much about endometriosis. So
Hmm.
there's 2 ways that you can, one, you don't, they can suspect you have endometriosis. You do not know if you have endometriosis until you have surgery. And then they
Correct.
basically take it to the pathology and they do a report to say that it truly is. A lot of REs, reproductive endocrinologists, will suspect it because they've been looking at this for a very long, especially if they've been in the field a long time. They typically know what it looks like, but they don't never know to do. They don't never know unless they do surgery. There are
Hmm.
two ways that you can get rid of or have it surgically removed: ablation and incision. Which one did you do?
I did excision. Excision is the
Both
best way to
times?
do it. Yes.
You did it both
Hmm.
times? Okay.
Hmm.
That's so when you do incision surgery, it is supposed to, I love this word, get rid of endometriosis.
Hmm.
However, comma, um, they can cut it and get rid of it in a certain area, but then endometriosis can grow back in another area. And it seems like that's what happened in your case. So you had the
Yes.
incision surgery once,
Hmm.
then and you got it again means that it was in one area and probably went to another area.
Yes. So the part about endometriosis is we have endometrial cells. And these cells are supposed to stay inside of our uterus. But what happens in the case of endometriosis is these cells go outside of our uterus. And cells at cellular level, we can't see them all the time. But when you go in and have excision surgery, you can see them if they are severe enough to be seen because they have grown and scarred and proliferated and really just grown and grown and grown. So what happens is when you go in and have excision surgery, they take all they can see. But at the end, you still may have endometrial cells that are in other areas that are just not big enough yet for us to see with our human eye. And that is what can cause endometriosis to continue growing and going in other areas that we didn't know. And that is why it's really, really hard. Chances say, so when you look at research, it shows there's a less than 20% chance that you'll have to do excision surgery again if it's done correctly. But
Right.
technology changes and things advance with time. And so they are showing endometriosis is advancing with time. It's getting smarter as well. So we have to stay on top of endometriosis just as much as we have to stay on top of newest technologies. And that is the problem. We do not have a cure. And it is one of those things where the smarter we become, the smarter our bodies become. And
Right.
that is the hard part.
And it's also too, is the more you'll find women too, the more that they have surgeries, the more the body builds scar tissue, the more that it makes it harder to get pregnant because they've had several surgeries. That that also makes it a complication too. That's why they tell you when the first time they told you is, we're gonna get this you're gonna get this surgery, but you need to get pregnant right away.
Mhm.
And that's why they told you that,
Mhm.
because they knew
Mhm.
that if you don't, you're going to run into another issue of having to have another surgery again and then trying to get pregnant.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why they told you, or why they told you. I feel like they told you things, but not like giving you a full explanation of what this is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because at that point you could have made a choice on your first surgery is maybe you wait. But if it was debilitating, I could see why you said, oh, I don't really care. I need for
Yeah.
you to help me.
Yeah. And then the other part of it was even though they told me to get pregnant at that time, they basically go in during the surgery and do something called a HSG, which is basically shooting the dye in your fallopian tubes to see how well they
Right.
go. Well, when they did it the first time, nothing went through. So at the end, even though saying, you should get pregnant, the second time in surgery, nothing went through again. I did a HSG
Oh,
procedure, nothing went through again. So at that time, I think the endometriosis was still had already progressed so bad that I wouldn't have been able to likely it would have been a fair chance for my fallopian tubes to have not been scarred because I wasn't able to get any dye through them. And they had
either one of
notated
them.
that.
Either
Mhm.
one of them. So both of your
Yeah.
tubes are blocked.
Mhm. So that
Wow.
is why I'm having to go through IVF because we absolutely know that the endometriosis has really scarred my fallopian tubes greatly. And at that point, this is when you're like, I have to bypass my fallopian tubes, and that means going
Right.
straight to IVF. And so that has been one of the things where I was like, this is kind of a misconception a bit because they throw a lot of get pregnant, just hurry up and get pregnant at you with not giving you the full details of, well, you do need your fallopian tubes to be flowing to get pregnant because you need sperm to travel through them. And if they're blocked, you're not going to be able to get that, and it's not going to be able to meet the egg and fertilize.
Right.
And so, it was just a process that I questioned so long, like, "Oh my gosh, did I wait too long? Could it have happened?" And I grasped with that for such a long time, and then I realized it's not my timing, it's God's timing, and at the end of the day, this is a story that needs to be said to somebody, and I just realized at this point, this is my story, but it needs to be told in this way, and God knows what he's doing, and I have to trust that process. And so even now, when I had my last surgery, he said, quote unquote, "Your pelvis looked like there was concrete poured into it. All of my ovaries and all of my organs were plastered to the side walls,
Really.
and he had to pry everything out to put it back in place." And so that just shows how bad endometriosis can affect you in years, just in a year span. So I tell people now, do not delay. Do not delay. I had the healthcare to be able to go quickly, but studies show it takes 10 years to be diagnosed with endometriosis. That is 10 years of you trying to fight and be your own advocate, 10 years of you going through pain, 10 years of you trying to find somebody who will listen to you before you get a diagnosis. And so I'm so grateful that I knew and I could advocate because I have a healthcare background, but some people don't. And when you're in a rural area or you're in an area where you just have never heard about this before, it's so easy to miss because we're just been conditioned to think periods are normal, like pain is normal. Get
Right.
over it. Get up, go to work,
Right.
go to school, deal with it. This is part of what a period is for a woman. And I was conditioned for that, for
Right.
years. As a kid, I had terrible periods. And I was told, you better take your ibuprofen or your Midol and you go to school. And
Right.
that was it. That was it. And so now I'm just really trying to tell people if it doesn't feel right, trust that and go get help. And if you go to get help and nobody wants to listen to you, you keep going until you can't stop because that is what's going to change your trajectory in your life.
It's
So,
and it's the same thing that I preach to everyone when they're saying that frustration of going to a doctor and not being heard. And I've said it plenty times in every interviews I've done before is that this is a business, you are a customer. And I think that some people think because it's healthcare that they can't question things.
mhm.
You very well
Yeah.
can question
Yeah.
things because
Yeah.
this is their business, especially in IVF. This is for profit, definitely for
Mhm.
profit. Um, and so if you're not getting and they're not listening to you, if you're having failed transfers with them and they continue to not change your protocol or say that we don't know and so we're just going to keep doing it this way, that is your opportunity to be like, no, let's try this, because there are some clinics that are in a box. They are not progressive, is what we would say, meaning they don't want to try a new medication. They don't want to try to do any type of biopsy. They just go with the flow of sometimes it just takes more than one time,
Mhm.
and which is true, but we can't keep doing the same thing over and over expecting a different result. So if you're not feel like you're being heard, as Kayla is saying, is pack it up and go somewhere else. I had to do
Please.
the same thing too as well. I had 10 clinics before I found a clinic that was right for me. And I tell everyone I love my clinic. Now some people who go there, they don't like my clinic.
Mhm.
But so you definitely go to other people, find your tribe, find your village that can help you, who are going through the same things that you're going through, um, because that is going to be what's going to help you get to the goal, and that's the baby. That is the baby at hand. You did mention that you went to Facebook. I wonder if that's. I wonder, is it the Incision Facebook
It is
group, the
Nancy's
big one?
Nook.
Oh,
Nancy's
Nancy.
Nook.
Nancy works. She runs a tight ship over there.
She sure does. She sure does.
Nancy runs a tight ship. Yeah, Nancy Nooks. She if you do not know who she has had a Facebook group for endometriosis for years. There is a wealth of information. She keeps up with surgeons who are endometriosis specialists, which means they do excision surgery. She stands behind excision surgery. Um, what you will find out, and that's why a lot of people do ablation, is excision a lot of times is not covered under insurance.
Mhm. But it can
And
be,
so,
but you have to make sure you do your due diligence because mine thankfully was you have to find the right specialist who is still in your network who can cover it.
right.
But it's
It's
hard. It's getting harder
It's
because
hard. It's hard.
insurance is getting
Right.
hard. So, for
Right.
example, mine took 6 hours. Insurance didn't want to pay for those 4 extra hours when they slotted me for two
Right.
hours. Insurance did not pay them what they should have been paid. And that is why now a lot of times these providers are going out of network or they're saying it is
Right.
no insurance because they will need to get
Right.
paid what they for the time that they spend and what they do. And that's the
Right.
hard part. It is healthcare has just completely changed. And me being a nurse practitioner, I am like in awe of the changes in the last
Yeah.
10 years that I've been in healthcare. It has just changed so drastically because it's a
Now, who did you
business.
use? Who did you use for your surgery?
I use Dr. Hawa. He's at Capital Women's in Leedsburg, Virginia, and he still to
Okay.
this day accepts my insurance. So, honey, I will never go anywhere else.
Yes.
And
Because do you
I've
think that
sent
you have to
so
get
many
another
people to
one?
him.
Do you have to get another one?
I don't think I will, but if I ever do, I know who to go to. And if anybody ever needs recommendations, he is the one. There are actually several endometriosis excision specialists on his team, several physicians as well, and they are all amazing. I have heard such great things from all of them.
I was also diagnosed with endometriosis. Mine wasn't as severe as yours, but I do have endometriosis. Mine was discovered. I would just happen to be on my road of trying to figure out how I could get around insurance to
Mhm.
even like help me with fertility, because at the time my benefits didn't cover infertility. And I ran across Dr. K. He's Dr. Kanagasa. Did not know that he did endometriosis. I just saw that he did women's. He was the first one for me to say, because I kept my cycles were really off, and he was monitoring me to figure out why, what was going on.
Mhm.
And he was the first person, when he was doing my ultrasound, he's like, he took his time and he sat there and he like looked at my ovary, and then he went to the other one, and then he stepped back and he looked again. He was like, give me a minute. Let me sit here and I'm gonna need to check some stuff. And then he was like, what cycle day are you on? And I told him again. He was like, okay. He looked again and he just said, you have endometriosis. And I was like, huh? And he was like, you have endometriosis. And I was like, how the heck do you know? He
Mhm.
said, I need you to go get an MRI. and I need you to, because I need to see what's happening here. And I was faced with that thing of he was out of network. He wasn't in insurance. It was going to cost me, I think, $20,000 for him to do it. I took the ablation route, you know, which I felt better. But now I think before I do my fifth transfer, I'm sorry, I think I need to get surgery again because I'm in pain. Like I haven't seen a cycle since my last transfer, which was now essentially um, back in December. I have not seen a cycle, but I'm constantly in pain. Like, not like, oh, I can't go on, but I'm constantly like, there's the twinges. You know what I mean? Like the
Mm-hmm.
twinges,
Mm-hmm.
the overly just stabbing a lot of
Yes.
times.
That
And I'm
stabbing
like
and
thinking, I'm like,
twisting.
oh, maybe I'm about to start my cycle, and then nothing ever happens. So I'm like, okay, and then it'll die back down. Nothing will happen, but every now and then I'll feel sharp shooting pains, and I'm like, I probably need to get surgery again before I transfer again. I think that that's probably
Mhm.
going to be the best thing for me to do, and then go on Lupron as well before I transfer. So I've been thinking about all those things because I'm like, when I got that surgery, like you said, it was just like a relief. Like I felt so much better. But as time has progressed, I'm starting to feel like it's starting to, and I think it's not really as high as it used to be because I'm not really, I'm not having a cycle. That's the only thing I think that's saving me is that I'm not having a cycle because I think I'll be back in the same position again too as well.
Yeah, it is so hard because there's no timetable to tell you how long you're gonna feel good, how long you're not gonna feel good, and it's just like
Right.
you don't know. You don't have that crystal ball to kind of figure that out. And that's the hard part about endometriosis, adenomyosis, PCOS. Like, these are these diseases where we have no idea how it's going to affect us, and it's just so hard. And that's why we have to do more research. And we all we always joke in healthcare. We say if it was a man problem, we would have had a cure a long time ago. But because
Oh,
it's a
most
woman
definitely.
problem,
Problem. Right. Right.
you wait on it. Wait on
And
it.
we have to fight for it. Like we have to
Mhm.
fight to get those answers. Like it's just fighting all the time to
Yeah,
get simple answers about what is happening with our fertility. Like it's unbelievable that we have to go through all of this, you know?
yeah. It is so hard. It's so hard. But I'm so grateful to have platforms like this where we can talk about it and we can ask questions and kind of just see what other people have done and what they've been through, because this is how we figure things out when you don't know
Right.
what to do. So I really appreciate this.
Oh, you're so welcome. Now, let's talk about your insurance because you said
Hmm.
that you're having problems with it.
Hmm.
What exactly are they not letting you do as far as, because you got the one egg retrieval approved,
Hmm.
why are they saying no for any more?
They are saying no. As of January, my insurance changed, and so that became a new clause with Cigna. And Cigna does not believe in embryo banking. And so because I have one embryo, I need to immediately transfer it before I can do any more egg retrievals. And for some people, it's like that would be fine. But for me, with this stage and severity of endometriosis that I have, the plan was for me to do as many egg retrievals as I could and bank my embryos so that if I end up having another surgery that potentially takes my ovaries, I no longer need them. And so in the other cases also, when you have endometriosis, you do have to do a lot of suppression, like you were mentioning Lupron. So I was slotted to do Lupron and Letrozole, which are cancer medications that basically
Okay.
trick your body into thinking that it's in menopause and it shuts production down. Everything stops. It is a ovarian suppressor. So that means your ovaries say, I'm going to sleep. You no longer need me. And so
Right.
what happens when we go through this and we take these for 3 months is sometimes when you cut it back on, like a light switch, the light may not come all the way on again. And you run that risk of not being able to cut your ovaries back on and go back into production. So in my case, I am basically fighting right now because I do not want to give my body 3 months worth of something that might cut my ovaries off with one embryo and not be able to cut it back on and produce more to make embryos in the future. So it has been a slippery slope for my case because what I have just been waiting on is to see if they would approve more egg retrievals. Insurance is not, they're not good with anything. They are one-sided. They don't care about your condition and what are your reasons and rationales for trying to do other things. They look at it one-sided and it's a very gray area. And so that's been the hardest thing because for me, my battle is do I transfer not doing Lupron or Letrozole for 3 months and this be my only embryo and not give it my all? Or do I give it my all and risk the complications that come with it afterwards? And so at this point, I decided I'm going to enjoy my spring and summer, and I did not want to have to think about this or make this my second job again. And I wanted to just, for the first time, put myself first. And I hadn't done that in a long, long time. And so I paused. I'm letting insurance do their thing. If they say absolutely not, then that's a conversation that me and my fertility specialist have to have. But I also wanted to not carry that weight with me to this summer. And I wanted to say, you know what? You need to try to find yourself again because infertility and IVF can really change who you are and it can really affect you in ways that you could never imagine. And through the midst of just being a human, being a wife, being a mom, just being I'm a auntie to all my nieces and my a sister, I'm just being in so many avenues, being a nurse practitioner,
Right.
trying to help people take care of their problems when I have my own. It really can take a toll. And so I just said, you know what? I am going to focus on myself and not give myself crazy meds that may make me feel crazy too during my summer. So I have
Right.
kind of just been in the hold and in the waiting game of just trying to see what insurance will do. But as of right now, they are not pushing back.
And that's
So,
so unfortunate because, like you said, is this affects this affects something from our future. Because even if the one embryo take, what if you want to have another
mhm,
child?
mhm,
Now you're running into a situation where you're older, and as you
mhm,
said, Lupron is a suppressor. I did 4 rounds of Lupron. I have put my ovaries to sleep. They ain't waking back up. They like, look, you done
mhm,
put me to sleep too many times. Now,
mhm,
in my case, I'm older. I'm 46 years old. So for me, I'm already there when it comes to menopause. So I probably just sped it up a little bit more. Technically, I'm still not in menopause until it's been a full year.
mhm,
Um, but more than likely, yeah, I think they're going to sleep. I don't think about Kayla. I don't think they wake me back up.
yeah,
I think they
yeah,
done for her. You
mhm.
like, yeah, girl.
And that's the thing. I mean, we don't know. Like, we don't know how our
Yeah,
body is gonna receive anything, and that has
yeah,
been my biggest thing. If I wait and let's say I do have my embryo sticks and I have a successful pregnancy and I have a healthy baby, if I breastfeed, that's longer. It's gonna take a whole
right,
whatever time I breastfeed that I can't do egg retrievals and all of that. You're gonna
right,
go through all that time, so that runs a risk of me being 31 next month. How what's your egg quality gonna look like then? Because it
right,
would have been better now versus then, but insurance
right,
didn't wanna be nice about it, and so
right.
those are the things, and those are the questions that are running and racing through my head,
Yeah,
that
right,
insurance can't answer for me because they don't
right.
care.
No, they don't care. They don't care at all because what they just see is, um, and I'll be honest, I think that new administration who promised us that they would give us better health care for IVF is sort
Mm-hmm.
of reneged a little bit, and that's not happening.
That's right.
Um, the laws that happen um, in Alabama with the embryo situation and that it is calling it real life is not helping the situation either because now insurance companies are looking at we are creating these lives and not using them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're
Mm-hmm.
looking at it.
Yeah.
Um, it's very unfortunate um, because a lot of people had faith that we were going to start getting IVF covered,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not happening
Not.
either. That's all I'm going to say
It's a
about that.
slippery slope. It's a
That's all I have
slippery
to say.
slope.
That's all I
Mm-hmm.
have to say about that.
And so that's it. Like, I live in a state where insurance doesn't have to be covered. I changed jobs to be able to get insurance that covered fertility. And now I'm grateful I have fertility benefit, but there are still, even with fertility benefit,
Right.
problems in
Problems.
it. And a lot of people are like, well, be glad you got fertility insurance. Well, I haven't been able to use it for a whole year just about because
Right.
it is putting me at a standstill.
Do you have progeny or you have
I don't.
you don't have progeny?
My fertility insurance is under Cigna, which is my health insurance, my medical insurance.
Right.
Now, it's a great plan. It covers unlimited fertility benefits, but they have lots of exclusions.
Lots of
So
excuses. Yeah.
that's the problem.
And we haven't really talked about this much when it comes to insurance, and I'm glad you like bringing this up because she's right. Now I tell my girls who are in my private group that if you're gonna get insurance, find a job that has progeny. But even progeny has now started to become a little bit strict. They used to let
Hmm.
you transfer more than one embryo. They have now stopped that based on research. They're also stopping women as well. Depending on who they're working with, they've stopped thinking of embryos too. Um, but before in pandemic, they were like there was no restrictions because you were running into an issue is if you've had tubal ligation, which means that they took that you volunteered for them to tie your tubes, they are not covering insurance because you said that you wanted to not have any more children. With
Hmm.
progeny, they didn't care. They just said if you had insurance, you had insurance, and then you could go get it done. But women who worked at there's a lot of Starbucks babies. Um, they do have a clause in there that if you have tubal ligation, you can't use their insurance. So it's definitely very important before you go to see if there are any clauses that are going on. Some make you actually try for like 6 months, 3 to 6 months before they'll even approve IVF insurance for you. A lot of them want a written diagnosis that you have infertility. So some of them, like she said, may say that they offer fertility, but they make it so overly complicated that you don't even want to use it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, have we looked at are you at the point of have you looked at, which I know if you left and went somewhere that had fertility, it means you can't afford it, how much it would cost for you just to do an egg retrieval out of pocket?
Yes, one egg retrieval out of pocket is going to be about $20,000.
Oh, it's just a little
And
pocket change.
yeah, just a little bit.
A
And
little
so,
something slight.
when you think about one egg retrieval being $20,000, think about the women who have had five, six, seven, eight egg retrievals. And just think about mine. Had one egg retrieval and I got one embryo. So what if I have another one and I don't get any or I get one? and now I'm $20,000 in debt and potentially need another one because research shows to have a successful live birth, it's about 3 embryos needed. 3 to 4 now. That's what research is showing. And so to be able to have this research and throw it at health insurance and they still say, "We don't care,"
Care.
it almost makes you feel like, "Am I a human or am I a light switch?" Because you're cutting me on and off when you want to. You're
Right.
manipulating my body whenever you want to. You're making the choice for what I have to do and what I can do with my body because I would do it a completely different way. I want to get through all the egg retrievals, give my body a break, and get through just transfer, transfer, transfer. Going back and forth, egg retrieval, transfer, it really is like a light switch. You're cutting your body on and off, on and off, on and off. There are different things that we do in an egg retrieval that we don't do in a transfer, and that
Right.
is for a reason. So you're
Right.
making your ovaries work hard in one aspect, and then you're quieting them down because when I had my first egg retrieval, I had severe complications afterwards. I had hemorrhagic cysts all over my ovaries again because I had fed my body with endometriosis, tons of estrogen, and endometriosis loves estrogen. It feeds on estrogen. It is like giving your body gasoline to a fire. It is just enjoying it. So when you go through all of these egg retrievals, you're basically cutting your endometriosis and saying, "Here, I got a feast for you. Have at it."
Right.
And so I hurt so bad for months after my egg retrieval. And I had cysts big as if I hadn't had an excision surgery. And I was like, "Don't tell me I've done all this for nothing." But you know
Right.
what? My OBGYN told me, "You are going to feel pain. You're basically setting yourself up to just have all of this estrogen take over your body doing an egg
Right.
retrieval." And I knew that. And that's why a lot of people do all the egg retrievals before they do excision surgery
Yep.
because they know they've set a fire and they need to quiet it down. But in my case, I was already so debilitated, there's no way I could have been able to do egg retrievals before doing excision surgery. And so you have to just, that's the thing, there is no cookie cutter script I can give you to tell you what to do A, B, C, D. It's not. And that's the problem with healthcare. They can give us a cookie cutter way of explaining it and doing it, but
Right.
we can't as humans.
So now you're just taking your next steps of just waiting. I'm guessing you're in an appeal stage. You have to wait for
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
Do so. Tell me how that process for anybody who's going through that. And just to remember when she's telling this that every process is different when you're going to appeal with insurance. But what did you run into, and how are you able to navigate appealing that? Um, and hopefully trying to get them to accept the fact that you need the extra
Yeah.
retrieval.
So basically, what I have done in the appeal, you start the appeal process, and they have 72 business days to respond. 72. So we have 30 days in a month. We're talking 72 days, but they're business days,
Business
Monday
days.
through Friday. So that can go into about 5.5-ish months.
Wow.
And that's what I'm going through. So
Wow.
I can't tell you when it'll be done. They can reappeal again and it starts the clock all over. But I think this is just what they do to buy time so that they don't have to make a decision that is quick, fast, and in a hurry.
And two, they're hoping that you forget or you just give up because they know that statistically, if they take a long time or they come back and deny it again, the
Mhm.
likelihood of you trying to do it again, you're not going to want to do it. You know, you're just going to throw it.
Exactly.
And then a lot of people just don't know too how the appeal process works or anything like that. So
Mhm.
if you don't know anybody who's actually fought with insurance, and I mean that's just with any kind of condition, that you go through. I've seen people who even like because disability is one that they deny you very quickly, that you actually have to work hard to get
Mhm.
disability. but nobody knows the proper ways to do it, so they ultimately end up giving up. But I've had people who were trying to get disability for years before they got it approved.
Mhm.
Years,
Yep. Yep.
years before they got it approved.
And while you're waiting, your ovaries aren't getting any younger.
Your ovaries are not definitely not getting younger. And two, you run in a situation of more endometriosis growing, more complications, more pain, more things to go on that if they would just approved it 6 months ago or when you started, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, don't you just love being a woman?
Love it. Yep.
All right. So I thank you so much. Now, I know that you have worked severely hard. So we talk about bonding, um, and you have never seen two pink lines before.
No.
I don't think that I have had anybody on here who has never seen. No, I take that back. Nope. Yep. You are the first person because even the girl last week, she saw two pink lines. Um, what is your motivation to continue to go? Never seeing those two pink lines. Um, how do you feel some days?
Some days are hard. Some days are very hard. I have two older sisters that have never had problems getting kids, and they're like, ovulation test strips. What? What is that?
Right.
They have never heard of anything like that. And so for me to be the youngest and be like, I'm having problems here, it's hard. It's very hard. The best answer I can give you is God puts the desires in your heart for a reason. And he wouldn't have planted that seed and that desire in my heart if it wasn't for something that he wanted me to have and me to have. And it can be a child of my own biologically, or it can be a child in another way. But I think, God gives us these desires for us to figure out what he wants us to do with them. And in my process, I'm not going to give up until I know what that answer is and I feel content with what he has given me.
I love that you're saying that you're gonna try this, but you're open to alternative ways to be a mom.
Hmm.
Um, I think when we put ourselves, especially on this journey of infertility in a box, we kind of prolong the possibilities of us becoming mothers in other routes because it doesn't look like what mentally you thought it was gonna be like. That's a hard pill to swallow because you've imagined you're already being stripped away of surprising your significant other with a pregnancy test because y'all were trying and oops um you get stripped away of so many things, and then when things don't work out this way, it's hard for women to wrap their brain around the being another alternate way. So the fact that you are open to no matter how this baby is received, you're going to get your baby
Yeah,
because the, you're not going to stop. I can tell it in your heart, the desire's there. You're not going to stop no matter what it is or what it's going to take. You're definitely going to get your baby. I'm here to say it right now. You're here to get your baby. We're going to do another interview and we're going to be talking about this, how hard it was and how it was worth everything that you went through to get that little
absolutely.
nugget.
Yes,
To get that little
yes.
nugget.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And you talked
Well,
about advice, but I want you to end it with your
mhm.
advice. You being on a public platform. Um, and I talked to Leah. I don't know she's on here too. I've been in her boxes and we've had conversations. She's another
I
one who's
love
going
her.
through. She's going through it too as well.
Yes, yes.
And and we had that discussion of being on that public platform and you being inspiration to so many women, and then them telling you, "Oh, I did what you told me to do. I saw your videos and I went and talked to my doctor and now I'm pregnant." You know, um, how hard is it for you, or is it hard for you to navigate that you're helping because you're growing and you're helping other women, and then it's not essentially happening for you? How are you navigating that?
Yeah, so it can be hard. It definitely can be hard, but what I like to stand firm in is knowing that God allows us to have our testimony and share it in ways that only He can do. He's the all-knowing, and I'm not. Sorry, I'm getting something in my throat now. And so I have to trust that what He's doing and put inside of me to be a vessel for is for His will and to advance His kingdom. And so I have to stand firm in that it may not be me, because in the Bible, it wasn't always them, but they were vessels for other people to expand His kingdom. And I am a servant of God, and I have to know that and realize that, because this world, we're only here for a blip of time, and this is not my home. And so I have to know at some point that as long as I do the work for Him and that is my goal, that's all I care about. And being a vessel to somebody else and helping them and leading them and positioning them to know Christ, that is what I'm here for. And if just a little bit of that helps one person, I have done what God has asked for me to do. And that's all I care about. So, in the midst of the enemy trying to pour that seed and tell me that over my life I'm disqualified or I'm not qualified, I have to rebuke that and know God chose me for a reason. And if this helps somebody else expand their family to do the glory and good for Him, that's all that matters. That is all that matters. And so the enemy is defeated by my work that I've done on social media.
Not you just had a whole sermon. Did y'all turn into y'all Bible? Did y'all turn to the scripture? That was a word. Did y'all catch that? Cause I caught it. I definitely caught it. Oh my god, that
Look,
is whew. You know, and this is why I love doing this, hearing everyone's different perspectives. You know, I will admit I am not as strong in my faith as you are, because sometimes I get a little mad. I'm not
yeah,
always.
it's me too.
I get mad because I'm like, told you about it, Lord. Lord, I'm the one who told him about. Do you know? Me and him had like real conversations.
And that's what he's there for.
I told these people about it. I gave them the sauce. Why
Hmm.
are you not giving me my own sauce? I need you to give me the sauce so that I can do the same thing too. And I do sometimes hear in those whispers is it's not, you have still have work to do, because it's so very little of us sharing this part of um women's health on a public platform, that we need more of us speaking about it. You
Yeah.
see spurts here, you see spurts there, but collectively, we are still, as a whole, not talking about these issues. And so there's just women who I run across, like you said, every day, that do not know what any of this stuff means. They've never heard of endometriosis. They've never heard of adenomyosis. They've never heard about, you know, they think that I've spoke to several women who are sitting at a job and didn't even know they have fertility benefits, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and teaching them like how to, like you comb through and find those ways, those avenues that, did you know that your insurance cover this? Because one, they don't want you to use it, so they're not going to really tell you about it.
Hmm.
They're not going to tell you that they cover fertility, because again, that costs money, um, real dollars, real cents. So being your own advocate, if you have not, being your own advocate, being that person to want to fight for those things, wanting to move, wanting to exchange, and go to healthcare providers. Those are all well within your rights to do. But if we, you and I,
That's right.
Leah, who just came in here, don't come in here and say
Leah,
on, I know I love her whole entire life.
did we just
If
speak
we
you
don't,
up?
right? When you scrolling through the FYP, it was like,
Shameless plug.
that is my name. If we don't continue to talk about these things, there are going to be women out there who don't know that they can fight for their rights to have children.
That's right.
Because again, we are under the impression, and most of us are, the majority of us, that we can get pregnant. And if we can't get pregnant, we just need to pray about it. And we need to pray about it because God just said it wasn't our time.
That's right.
I believe in God. I think not Leah. I think Kayla believes in God. We also believe in solutions and science.
That's right.
And that's what they are here for, to help you. Just like if you break your arm, you go see a doctor. If you have something wrong with your knee, then you go see that specialist. When you need glasses, you go see an eye doctor. But when we talk about fertility, we are only supposed to pray about it.
That's right. And now we gotta talk about it.
What's you getting help for?
Nothing,
You
because you don't
know?
need to say nothing about it. Mm-mm. You do that at the
Right.
house, so you don't talk about
Right.
this.
Right. And so that is why we need more of us, more talks like this, more conversations, so that that woman is watching. Or in my case, and it seems like we did something very similar, is when I could not figure out, I started looking everywhere for answers.
That's
I
right.
started
That's
going
right.
to social media. And so now when they see, or they're searching and typing in the search engine and they're looking up IVF, that they come across, you know, every shade of infertility. Or they come across, as you see, Kayla is wearing IVF Club, and that maybe her content pulls up, and they see her, who's going through infertility, and they can start going down that rabbit hole of finding other women who look like them, to say that now it is okay. And that's why I tell it is okay to go seek help. It
That's
is
right.
okay to go see a doctor. It is okay when things are not working out in 3 to 6 months, instead of just waiting and waiting and waiting, because you may miss your opportunity to bring that baby home, because we do have a biological clock. We were told that we didn't have one. Unfortunately, we do have one.
We
There
do.
is a
We
clock.
definitely do.
Why did
And
they
you
tell
know
us that we
what?
had one?
Sometimes we miss the opportunity because we're looking and so distracted in other things too. And we have to realize, if you want something, only you sometimes can be the one to find it, because God is going to wait for you to be like, hold on, I got the secret sauce here, but she's looking over here, over here, over here. She hasn't come to me either, though, to be honest. And you have to
Right,
know and be like, you know what, God, I'm gonna come to you and let you guide me through this. And you ask him for help, and he can guide you in ways that you would have no idea. I had no idea about Nancy's Nook, y'all. There was not a thought in my mind that told me to look up ways to find surgeons, because I was stuck in North Carolina. I was stuck in
right.
North Carolina, and it was nothing but God that brought me to Virginia and started this whole process for me.
Yes, yes. If you know someone who is with endometriosis, Nancy Nook, she's on the Blue app. She has a ton of articles, wealth of information. She runs a tight ship.
She does.
She does not allow you to do random posts. If you are not in the research or search using a search tool in her group, you may struggle a bit, because she will turn off a comment in a minute.
Yes, you
She
get
does
one
not.
one comment, and it's usually
Right.
hers.
Right. If
Yes.
you say something out there, you are out of there. She does not play. She does not do like opinions. She only goes by like facts.
That's right.
Um
Look,
what
I
articles
felt pretty good
say.
when she found me on LinkedIn, y'all.
Nancy
I was
found
like,
you?
okay, Nancy. I was
I
like,
don't
we
even
could
know what
be
Nancy looked
LinkedIn
like.
friends. Girl,
But
she
the way I was like this on mute when I was in there, because I was like, oh, she turns out comments. I was like, ooh, oh, she don't play.
look, she don't.
She
Nancy
does not
Peterson, look
play.
her up, y'all.
But she has a wealth of information. She keeps
She
up to
does.
date with incision surgeons. She always has a
Mm-hmm.
list of who is qualified, who is not.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, so if you want an excellent resource, she's an excellent research resource. Go through her materials, go through the posts that she does, because anything like she posts is going to be something that she has heavily vetted. And so you can pretty much trust, what she has in that group
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to that situation of that. So I do want to ask you, as a nurse practitioner, why are we told that we don't have a biological clock?
Girl, because we don't know what we don't know. And you know what? It takes, in research, 20 years for us to figure out the truth. 20 years. And so what we are doing right now, we're not going to know in 20 until 20 years pass by that we've been doing it all wrong this whole time. So that is why, because we are guinea pigs in our own rat race right now. And we don't realize it until we fed ourselves all this processed foods. We're beefing up everything and we're putting stuff in it because we're massively producing. We have no idea what we're doing to our bodies anymore, and we don't know how detrimental this is going to be for our infertility. Because what happens is the things that we knew in the 90s are well past now in 2025. And that is the process. And that's a problem that we're having because we're sitting here and we tell people stuff and it's not factual. And then we realize, oh my gosh, we messed up. We completely did it wrong. For 20 years, we have been living this lie and saying this, and it's not true. There's so much stuff right now. I love healthcare and I hate it at the same time. Pharma is one of the biggest problems that we have. If we can throw you on medications and keep you on medications, we will. And that's what we're told. They don't want to see holistic people. They don't want to see people look for herbs and figure out other ways to take care of themselves. They want to keep you on a medication that's going to cause side effects and be detrimental to your body. And that's just the way it's been for so long because that is the money maker out here. And it's the sad truth. It's the sad truth. So the less we know, the better they do.
Plus, nobody wants to wait anymore. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to wait to feel better. They don't want to put
Mm-hmm.
in the work. They want instant gratification. They want to take a medication. And
Yeah.
for us, especially women's health, is, I say all the time, is the worst thing you could do for your body is be put on birth control. You
Yep.
know, it is not healthy for us. It's a band aid. It's not going to fix the issues of what's going on, you know. And for you, when you were going through it, how many times you said, I'm put on birth control, I'm off of birth control, I'm put on birth control, I'm off of birth control. And so that also does not the right things to your body. Instead of finding out what the root issue of you having the pain, which was endometriosis, the quick solution was just get on birth control. Everybody does it.
Yep. Yep. And then you deal with that and the side effects that come with
Yeah.
that. And it's not easy at all. It's not easy.
And
Like
that's
I
what I try to
said,
tell
if it was a
women.
man
Yeah.
problem, we would have fixed it a long time ago.
Well, I'm just saying Viagra was easily covered underneath
Right?
insurance.
You see?
But
Mm-hmm.
that's not my business.
Yeah.
But now they're showing studies that Viagra helps women too now.
Yep.
And it helps with the uterine lining.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now they're starting to see studies about that too. So um, they're using that in fertility now
Mm-hmm.
for women, um, which is interesting to see. So I think that you can take it vaginally, and it helps with your uterine lining
Mm-hmm.
um, as well. So that is something that the things are advancing. I am shocked that you said like we don't know what we know until 20 years from now, so that everything that we're doing now to advance technology will be outdated.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense, that you're saying that. It's not something that I just really realized until you said it. That what we're doing now, and it's true. I mean, I guess that's why they said that we didn't have a biological clock, because when I was told, I wanted to get pregnant, was like, well, as long as you get a cycle, you can get pregnant.
Yep.
And that's not necessarily the case either. So if you haven't got anything from this, do your homework, do your research. If it doesn't feel right, if you don't feel like you're being heard, definitely go to see somebody else. Um, and if you are going through infertility, or you've gone through infertility, um, Kayla makes shirts. Not only does she make shirts, she embroiders. Um,
I
and
do.
what made you turn to that passion?
Yeah, absolutely. So for several years, I have done quilting and crocheting and sewing, and I've always done baby blankets and things like that for people when they were pregnant. And I really used therapy. This is my therapy. It has been something that I could listen to my praise and worship, or just really just dig into something and be able to cut off the world. So it was something that I decided to do for a very long time, and God really put it on my heart. Like, well, you're constantly giving baby blankets out to people, but like, why don't you just do something where you can wear it? And when it came time for me to have my egg retrieval and things, I was like, there's really not a lot of IVF stuff that I can really wear. And
Right.
so it was like, I want to make something. So I made myself a sweatshirt. And I was like, well, why not make this for people who are also looking to do this for their transfer or their egg retrieval? And so that's what it came down to. It was just like, let me do something that is going to show somebody that you're not alone through this. We are a club. It's the worst club, but the best members. But it's a club where it's such a tight-knit community that this is what we're here for. And that's why I did it.
And tell everybody what the name of your business is.
Yes, the name of my business is Woven and Waiting, and it has been such a joy. I started it in July, and it has kicked off greatly, y'all. I am almost over 100 orders, so it has kept
Wow.
me quite busy. God has blessed me in ways that I never would have thought. And this is just showing you guys when you listen to God, I never wanted to share my story. I suffered in silence for years. Nobody knew about what I was going through until God said and put it on my heart, you need to share your testimony. And I was like, hold on. Infertility? This isn't
Right.
something that you share. And now it is turned into something where we are wearing sweatshirts to encourage people loudly and proudly. And I am so grateful for that. I have gotten so many conversation starters out of this sweatshirt, and I'm so grateful for it because they're like, what is the IVF club? Is this like a sports club? And I'm like, no, this is raising awareness for people going through infertility. And then people are like, "Oh." "Oh, but you know what? No, let's talk about it. Since you said that, let's talk about that." And that has been how a lot of conversations started, and you learn about, "Wow, well, I might know somebody who needs this type of sweatshirt. This would be so good for my friend going through this because I haven't known how to answer her questions or help her or support her through this." Something that simple can start something so big, and that is what I'm here for.
That is so true. I have a shirt. It's like a it's like a booty with with a needle thing, and it has like French fries. It has something else, and then on the bottom it says, "If you know, you know." So when I wear it out, I see people that like, "Oh yeah, I know," and then I see some people that like, "I don't know. Tell me what it is." And I'm like, "It's IVF."
Uh-huh. See? Yeah. And you never
Because
know.
I was
You
looking at it
never
like,
know.
if you know, you know. And it's like, but I don't know. Can you tell me? I'm like, yeah. I go through IVF. This is my transfer shirt, and it was yeah. It was, I can't remember. It's got but yeah, it's got the French fries and it's got something else. But it basically was transfer day things that you have. And yeah,
Yeah.
if you know, if you know, you know.
Mhm.
And and it does, it gets people started. I'll do panels, that's why I put, donor egg mom, because a lot of people don't know what it means. And so it was to spark conversations, because when they saw my name or they brought me up or they were in a panel, they were like, tell me about what your name and what it means is. And I would tell them. And then I would see in the comments, I've had miscarriages, I have PCOS, I have endometriosis. And you just see so many of us suffering in the silence because nobody talks about it. And
Mhm.
so you get good conversations and you get those people who stop you. I just was in a box earlier today, and one of the ladies, she said, "I tried for 6 years," and she's like, "And I don't, and I had a long road to get my baby." Um, but we don't talk about it because we're just told like everybody has miscarriages. You'll have a,
That's
you
right.
had a miscarriage. Oh, I had three. Don't worry,
Mhm.
you'll get pregnant. And it's so many of us that hear that and wait,
Yep.
just keep waiting. Um, and we're here to tell you, don't wait. Get your answers that you need to find out what's going on. It may just be more than you just need to wait. It's I mean, women we've heard who are waiting and they had blocked tubes, like you
Yep.
didn't even know. You just thinking, okay, you have one issue, and then you find out, girl, you couldn't even get pregnant if you wanted to.
Mhm.
Your tubes not even clear. That's happened to so many women um, throughout this journey that I've met, that they just didn't know. So get the answers that you need. Like I said, we love God. We also love doctors to help us do this.
That's right.
Now, do you do any type of therapy or anything like that?
I do. Yes, yes. So I do therapy every other week, and it has been really, really good. I also do couples therapy with my husband, just because we don't talk about that either, how that navigation process goes
Bluetooth
with you and
connected.
your husband just struggling together with just the questions that you have, and how does that make you feel as a wife, not feeling that you are competent, and as a man not feeling like you may be competent, and it's just those are some things that we don't talk about, and those are things that need to be talked about more.
I definitely will agree with that for sure. That even men having a safe space to have those conversations too, to know how to support um, their significant others or their partners through this journey, that they also need some sort of outlet, because um, what I found out is they carry a lot and they just don't say anything because it's not about them, it's
Mhm.
about us. And so they don't really feel that they should say anything because it doesn't affect them. When
Right.
truthfully, it does affect them just as much too as well.
It does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does, and that's the thing, it's just we don't talk about it enough, and I've even seen just following this platform, a lot of guys been like, "Hey, where are the IVF dads?" or "Where are the
Right.
guys going through IVF?" And it's still crickets a lot of times, and we need this. We need this community to come through and really try to do something for the guys too, to show them it's not just our issue, y'all are navigating this too and dealing with this in whatever way you're dealing with it as well.
Amen. 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 I want to thank you so much, Kayla, for coming and seeing us today.
Thank you for having me.
I usually end this. Let's see if we can find some music on another way. I usually end with some sort of music, but my thing is still not working. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out what's going on with it. So let's see what I can come up with here. See if I can use another device. Um, Got YouTube. And for those who do not know, um, I recently came up with some music to help women on their journey. It's called, it's on my channel on
Is
YouTube,
it
Every
"Go
Shade of
Get Your
Infertility.
Baby"?
Go get your baby any way you can. But so yeah, it's like a 7-piece album. The name of it is called "The Timeline Is Not Mine,"
Oh,
and I am going to play. This one is for you. This one is called "Hope Will Carry Me," and I hope you like it.
I'm gonna love it.
It is streaming on all platforms. So feel free if you're going through your IVF journey. If you search for Every Shade of Infertility, you will see it there. And so there's 7 songs that you can use. Hope believes for me. Hope will carry me when I can't stand on my own. Hope will carry me all the way home. It's not just the test results or the timeline. It's the quiet way I keep trying, even when no one sees.
I love it.
Hope isn't loud. It's the whisper in my blood that says you were meant to be someone's mom.
Mm,
Even now, hope will carry me when faith feels far away. Hope will carry me through the longest days.
oh,
Carry me. Carry me. Hope will carry me through the way
Mhm. I
That is
love
hope.
it.
That is hope will carry me. That is on the album. The timeline isn't mine. Um, so you're seeing two women up here who are still waiting on their baby. And it can be hard because you wanting to know when it's your time. And as Kayla perfectly said, like the timeline is not when I think it is when God says so. And so that's why I named it that. I am not singing in it. But all the words are mine. I basically made an album that I needed to. I Music is my therapy. I listen to music a lot. It's the way I kind of center myself, and so I just made an album, and I just needed an album me talking to myself, and
Yeah.
so it's an album of me really saying things and making myself because I lost some hope. When you've gone through this like 5 times, it's like, should I be doing this? Um, and so I spoke to myself. And so I play this album for myself just so I know that the journey is not over, it's not done. Um, so when you hear it, just know it's just me talking to myself in song form. I receive it for some reason I receive it better
Yeah.
through this way. So um yeah, again, it's available on all platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. So whatever you listen to is under the brand Every Shade of Infertility. So hopefully it helps you on your journey. And yeah,
Thank you.
I play Go Get Your Baby all the time. Um, and for those who are new and don't know what that means, um, when I started my group, it was not Every Shade of Infertility. It was just I just wanted to meet other women who were using donor eggs, and so I just made a women of color using donor eggs, and then it kind of grew from there. Um, and then I just started doing more research of what we were supposed to how to pay for this donor eggs, embryo donation. All of those are very expensive. And so I just started looking up employers or grants or anything. Maybe there was a new kind of a uh, there's new uh, credit insurances coming up that you can pay for it if you want to using different payment plans. And so anytime I would see that, I would post it in the Facebook group and I would say, "Here's a grant. Go get your baby. There's a job that's hiring right now. You know, if you're looking for employers right now, now is the time because Christmas season is coming up. So a lot of retail companies are now starting to hire for that seasonal, and and a lot of times they're full time jobs, but go get your baby. So that's what I always say. And so that's what I always tell all of them. And so it started to catch on. It started to be a movement. And so anytime a girl gets their transfer, they say, I'm going to go get my baby. Or they found a new donor. Like Ronnie said, I'm going to get my baby. Or, hey, I'm looking for embryos. I'm going to get my baby. Egg retrievals. I'm going to get my baby. And so I had to make one. That's something I've been saying for almost 4 years now. Go get your baby. So you'll see me play it when now I'm doing my stories. I say go get your baby. I'm now playing that as the sound to go get your baby. Um, so if you haven't heard it, again, it's available on all platforms. Go get your baby any way you can, no matter the avenue, no matter the routes, all diverse paths, one beautiful destination to go get your baby.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, that's the movement. Go get your baby. So if y'all know anybody who is going through IVF, Kayla, she is woven and waiting. She is selling the shirt you see there. It comes in different colors. She can customize it the way you want it to be. So if you don't want it to be black and the cream. I think she started off with the black and cream, but
Yeah.
we don't got picky now. We like,
We
I'm
got different
sorry.
ones.
I'm
Look, this
sorry.
is
Can
the
you
first
make it a
Carolina
different
blue one I
color?
just did. This one, I love it. I'm like, this one is like it for me. I think I'm gonna get it, make another one.
So now I'm thinking, I'm like, I think I want a
Look,
teal
I
color.
got 1,000 of them. I got
I
a
know
whole
I saw
box
you was
over
there
there.
because you had that one was like the I think you did the you was like which one do you like, the pink or the blue, and I was like what, blue.
Yes,
I like
yes.
the blue. I was like, Lord, she's gonna have to put me on a payment plan because the way I want more than one, I'm like, maybe purple. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I want a
Look,
purple one.
I'm making a black and purple one actually tomorrow. I'm making it. So I'll let you know. I have not posted well this week because I have been busy, but I'm gonna get it back together.
No, you've been doing good, and you're popping up more. I keep seeing like your stuff, and what I love about Kayla is every shirt she makes, what she sends out, she prays over.
That's right.
She prays over every shirt before she sends it out to every IVF mama. She prays over it before she sends it out, and I was like, that to me just like touched my heart when I saw that you were praying over um stepping outside yourself. People don't know when you're in your own thick of it and you're sitting here doing that, like you don't even know how much that means to other women because you could just be focused on yourself and what you need to do, and the fact that you are doing this and still like believing and hoping for other women says so much about who you are. And
Um,
so you deserve everything that you're getting. I hate this again. We are the best members, worst club to be in, but I thank you for being so transparent.